It's like 100% your fault.
No, it's not.
Oh my God. All right, what's going on, guys? This is Brad of despitefitness, and today is July 28th. It's a Wednesday, and it's one of those days where it's gonna be a heavy deadlift session. I got my man Chris here to hang out. He's the Hog Wrestling King of 2016, world champ.
Verified.
Verified. But yeah, so he's gonna train with us today. First time training with us. So we're gonna run him through a running warm up. We're gonna run through a deadlift session. Maybe to be able to work on his form a little bit because he is active duty as well. So deadlift is gonna be kind of an important thing going forward with the ACFT. So I've never worked with him before on his deadlift. So maybe be able to give us some tips and tricks and some ideas. Maybe some of that'll help you. And then you can kind of get another voice about the running warm up and kind of how things feel on the backside of this. So if you want to hear what he thinks of what we do, stick around. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Yeah, we've already been standing around waiting. I feel bad, so we're gonna kind of get in and get after it and get moving along. So let's just get right after it. Here we go.
Blech.
All right, cool. So hey, we're about mid-stroke and getting into some deadlifts. Noticed some issues with Chris's form and kind of how he's performing the movement. So very much kind of a standard thing that where you see with a lot of people who are unfamiliar with deadlift is that kind of 1-2 movement, right? So you're seeing the butt and the hips shoot up, and then you're seeing this very protracted back extension. So we're working on some lowering the weight a little bit and just trying to get some rep work in to kind of do a little bit of neurological priming so we can just reset his form and get him performing the movement more optimally. So what we're trying to do is we're working on an abdominal brace. So one thing that I'm trying to instill in him is getting that good abdominal brace, getting good intra-abdominal pressurization. So we got a belt on him and working on creating that pressure, and then we're also working on the patterning, so how we perform that movement. And so what I'm having to worry about is getting set up, getting locked in a position, and using that bar like a wedge or a lever to get himself kind of wedged in a position, and then from there shooting up and performing the movement more like a leg extension, or I'm sorry, more like a leg press rather, than really a back extension. So got a couple reps in at 225. he's gonna take a pop at 315 for a single and just see how it feels. So let's see if the movement has improved at all. All right, so on you. Good hand position. Good. Get that good breath in. So open it up, get a good breath, pressurize, good. Get the hips up, or the hips down, chest up. Drive the legs. Good. A little bit better, good. Okay. So with that, a little bit closer. So with that, all right, a little bit better than what it was before, but you can still see that the butt's shooting up. So that's something that we're gonna work on. I have something else for that, so we're gonna try another trick here in a minute to kind of get after that. We're gonna do a little bit lighter weight, play with the band to see if we can get them moving in the right direction. But even yet, it's better than what it was when we first got going. So a little bit of incremental changes. And the thing that I want to encourage for you guys is as you see this and as you work on your own deadlift, it's very unlikely that you're going to fix your deadlift, your bench, or your squat or your whatever in a single session. Very, very difficult to do, right? Because however long you've been lifting, if you're not doing it you know, most appropriately or not doing it optimally, it gets hard to break out of those patterns. So even when you have somebody standing there like telling you, you know, what you ought to do or what you shouldn't do and trying to correct the form, it can be very difficult to actually execute it. So give yourself some patience, give yourself some room to be able to accept and then ingrain that new neural patterning so that you perform the movements more optimally than what you were before. So we'll continue to work with Chris and try to do some more polishing, but just so that you know, and just so you know, it's not gonna happen overnight, right? It's an iterative process, and you gotta just kind of work on it over time so that your body becomes adapted to that change. So here we go, more to follow, eh? Super extra. You're lucky you didn't hear the conversation that was just being had. All right, that's it. That's the video. We're gonna close it down and kind of get some closing remarks. One of the things that I think is kind of special about today's session is the fact that we have Chris, and this is Chris's first session with me, and truth and lending, right? Like Chris is one of my soldiers, and so he asked me about linking up and doing some training sometime. Just kind of want to see how I do things. And so I thought it'd be a good opportunity for just kind of sharing knowledge and being able to open up his aperture for how I go about training in comparison to some of the things that maybe he's already seen or some of the training models that he's already followed. So at the outset, right, like when we started getting into the running warm-up, that's a little bit different than the type of stuff you've normally done?
Absolutely. The warm-up stuff it really broke me off, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to deadlift after this. But you really surprise yourself when you get into it and you get your mindset right. You can do more than you fucking think. So I would just push yourself and just, you know, keep doing different things to keep your appetite hungry.
All right, so a lot of folks, you know, they might think that the winning warm-up would be something that would wear you out. And that's essentially what he was just talking about, right? So that winning warm-up is a very different energy pathway than what you're doing in that main movement, right? So we're dipping a little bit more into the glycogen process with the winning warm-up, right? So it's a lower weight, higher rep. It really doesn't affect that 1 rep max the way that you might think that it's going to. And that's kind of what he was talking about, thinking like, hey, I'm gonna suck on the main effort, but that really wasn't the case. So yeah, we broke him off, and it's also because he actually trained back yesterday and did some stuff. So like, maybe he wasn't optimally primed to like jump into what we were doing today, but it was just kind of targeted opportunity and just kind of got in. So again, even though it wasn't exactly like perfectly aligned in terms of what he was doing leading up to today, still able to kind of keep on and hang with us and have a really, really great training session. So like, for those of you that are home that are considering maybe jumping into a conjugate method or a winning warm-up kind of a style of training, there is kind of one testimony there from somebody who has no relationship whatsoever with conjugate or winning warm-up or whatever, but yet, you know, here he is saying, hey, it worked out really well, I felt really great, and yet I was still able to perform. So food for thought for you guys. So we got through that winning warm-up, broke you off a little bit, and then we moved into the main effort, which for us today was kind of building up to a heavy 1 rep max.
Absolutely.
So in building up to the heavy 1 rep max, we noticed some things with your form, right?
Correct.
So again, kind of being fair to Chris here, powerlifting is not his thing. He has not received any formal training or formal guidance in powerlifting, right? And so when I say powerlifting, I mean with an exclusive interest in the powerlifting movements, i.e. squat, bench press, and dead. So while most of you out there might be able to, like, hey, I know how to do these things. Yeah, I probably loosely in the gym, like kind of a frame, you may have some familiarity and some experience with those movements. But in terms of being competitive, in terms of being most optimal, right, there's a very specific kind of way of training to optimize those movements. And so what we were doing today was outside of what you'd experienced, right?
Absolutely. I've never tried to deadlift heavy. The Army doesn't really line up with powerlifting, with their PRT and stuff like that. So it hasn't been my focus, but it is in my interest. So just getting that formal training from someone that can pick the weight up is nice to have and helps me grow even more than just the PRT.
Cool. So when we were looking at your form, right, we noticed a few things. Mm-hmm. So we talked about that abdominal bracing, and then we also talked about using that stacking, right? So getting the hips underneath the shoulders and being able to kind of drive the roll away from you. Mm-hmm. And we emphasized that point with the band. So from when we first started to tying that band in, what did you think about that band work? And then moreover, once we pulled that band off, how did that all feel?
Yeah. So the band really changed my whole perspective on deadlift. Like, if I was leaning too far forward, that band would let me know that I was leaning too far forward. And once I took it off, I was perfectly aligned, or better aligned than I was prior. It's gonna take some more reps. You're not gonna be good at it first time you try it, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. So with that band in there, introducing that band to him, what he's kind of talking about is the more he opens up his back and opens up that moment arm of his back, then the more that band is really going to punish. But if he can get himself stacked and get his hips underneath his shoulders and create more of a stacking effect, then he's going to be able to move more optimally. And so he actually experienced that and got that biofeedback, right? That band like showed him immediately. And so from not having that band on and without the coaching to having some coaching and putting that band on, you could start to see his movement pattern was much cleaner. And so cleaning up the movement pattern, cleaning that up has a huge effect on the overall efficacy of the movement. And so I think we're in the right direction. So more than likely, it's going to take several sessions to really ingrain that movement pattern, but we're beginning to kind of open it up and showing those kinesthetic cues for him to be able to kind of own that. And so that's the same thing, the same way that I approach it for him is the same way I've approached it for everyone I've ever worked with, is the same way that you can approach it at home, even if I'm not sitting on your shoulder. So hearing some of these things and doing some of these cues and working on some of these processes, you can clean up your own movement patterns and become more proficient with the movement, and therefore more effective, and have a better lift with whatever movement, right? For this example, we're talking deadlift, but it doesn't matter, squat, bench, whatever, right? It's all about increasing your proficiency with the movement and increasing those mechanics, working on those mechanics. So hopefully hearing it from Chris also kind of helps kind of re-emphasize the point, so that you guys are hearing it from multiple sources, and it's not just kind of the echo chamber of me repeating the same things. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, throw in the chat box below. I will respond. I appreciate you guys continuing to support me in the channel with everything that you do. It means the world. The channel's growing like crazy lately, and I really do appreciate you guys. If you joined the channel recently, thank you very much. If this is like the 3rd or 4th video you've seen and haven't subbed up, I need you on the team. Hit the sub button, join the family, hang out for a bit, maybe forever, probably forever. And that would really help the channel grow. Really want to get up to 10K this year, or as fast as possible. And I can't do it without you, so please help me out. Remember guys, no matter what it is you think you can't do, like take some very, very small things and work on them to increase your efficacy, your mechanics, right? It's never gonna happen if you don't get it in train despite. You're either gonna find an excuse, you're gonna find a way, and hope that you guys continue to find the way. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one. Peace. And then next, does her super.
Welcome to the splash zone.
Yeah, dude, I'm like Frosty without his hat. I'm fucking melting. Is what it is.
That's why I kept looking down.
It is what it is.
I was like, what
This is all me. I think Chris
Chris got a few going.
Chris's feet are all wet because I'm fucking melting.